Welcome everyone to Interconversations. So Interconversations, as you know, is a series of webinars organized by the internationalization team here at the Department of Early Childhood Education at EDU Hong Kong. My name is Alfredo Bautista, and I am Associate Professor and Associate Head of Department for Internationalization here at ECE. And I'm very excited to see so many international colleagues joining us today. Well, as many of you know, Interconversation was born in 2020 during the early stages of the pandemic, because in our attempt to keep the international early childhood education community engaged and connected. So this initiative back in 2020 was very well received. We decided to continue to organize these webinars to keep the interesting conversations ongoing, right? So focusing on a variety of topics that are relevant to early childhood educators, not only here in Hong Kong, locally and regionally, but also internationally. So we have already done many of these interconversation series. So we are really happy that we are continuing with this initiative, right? So the title of the interconversations today, as you can see, is Unlocking the Power of Collaborative Partnerships Between Researchers and Practitioners in Early Childhood Education. So for today's session, we are happy that we had many participants register for the session, more than 100 participants actually. Most of the participants are from Hong Kong, also mainland China, also many neighboring countries in Southeast Asia. I am aware that we have many colleagues who register from Singapore. So hi, Singaporean friends. We also have many colleagues from the Philippines and also some participants in Europe, the Americans, and also Australasia and Africa. So thanks so much everybody for signing up for this session and for your interest. So I really hope that you enjoy the session, and very happy to keep this connection with you virtually. Today, we have invited my very good colleague and my very good friend, Dr. Yana Cheng, to host and moderate the session. Dr. Yana Cheng is an assistant professor in our early childhood education department. Jenny completed her PhD in developmental psychology from the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities in the United States. And what else? Jenny is an editorial member of Cognitive Development, a really, really good journal. And also she is governing board member of the Mathematical Cognition and Learning Society. Jenny's research examines the mechanisms and cognitive processes involved in mathematical development. Her work focuses on the effects of perceptual and embodied features in the environment and cognitive, affective, and social factors of mathematical learning. And yeah, that's all I can say about Jenny. Jenny, thank you so much for doing this for us. I'm going to pass you the mic now. Let's welcome Dr. Jennifer Chan. And Jennifer, thank you so much again. Jenny, thanks so much for doing this again.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alfredo, for the warm introduction. I'm really happy and delighted to bring this forum to you all. And it's so wonderful to have all your support and attendance today, wherever you are around the world. And we've been planning this forum for the past 2 months, and we are so pleased to have my 4 wonderful colleagues here sharing with us. So as you can see, today our topic is unlocking the power of collaborative partnership between researchers and practitioners in early childhood education. And then so the questions that I've always wondered about, how can us as researchers better study the questions that kindergarten principals, teachers, and parents actually care the most about? And how can practitioners benefit from interacting with researchers? And how can we facilitate a healthy collaborative partnership to ensure that we bring the greatest benefits into our classrooms, families, and homes? And then so with these questions in mind, and to think about how we can better support and facilitate collaborations in Hong Kong, I'm honored to invite a panel of researchers from around the world to share their experience on how to establish and grow a mutually beneficial partnership between researchers and practitioners. And then so for today's session, we have 4 wonderful discussants who have kindly agreed to share their perspectives and their knowledge and experience with us. And then so each of them will have around 7 minutes to introduce themselves and give a short presentation addressing 2 questions that I gave them before, and according to their experience in their areas of expertise. And then so I invited Tomo to be here. He will be the first speaker. He is a researcher who have extensive experience collaborating with individual teachers and students. So he can share his personal experience on that front. We have Anika, who has been in various different roles as parents, as teacher, as kindergarten principals, as teacher educators, and as a researcher. So I think she can really share her experience from all these different perspectives and how we can best work with teachers and principals, and how educators can benefit from the interaction with researchers. We also have Hari. She will share her perspective working with school and the school systems, and then Carman, who has experience working with the communities. So we can go from the individual interaction all the way out to the communities and building collaborations in all these different layers. And then so after all the 4 presentations, we'll proceed into the Q&A sessions where we will be reading the comments, reflections, questions, and that participants share in the chat. And I would love to also open up the floor at the end for any comments if you would like to connect your camera and microphone, and then so we can hear you and we can have an open discussion that way. And then so now let's get started. Our first discussant is my great friend, Dr. Tomohiro Nagashima. Tomo is a junior professor of technology enhanced learning in the Department of Computer Science at Saarland University, Germany. He conducts interdisciplinary research at the intersection of learning sciences, human-computer interaction, and cognitive sciences to better understand and support student learning using technology. He works closely with school teachers and students to co-design intelligent learning systems to support students' self-regulated learning behaviors, informed choices making, and cognitive understanding in mathematics learning. The 2 questions that I gave Tomo are, as a parent and a researcher, how do you collaborate with teachers and students to design learning technologies? And what are your tips and advice on effective and mutually beneficial collaboration? So Tomo, please go ahead and share your screen. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Jenny, and all the others who are here. And I'm very excited to kick off this great event with my presentation. I'm very excited to talk about a little bit about what I do and what I have been doing. It's titled Participatory Design with Educators, 3 Myths. So as Jenny briefly introduced to me about myself, I am an interdisciplinary researcher working across these 3 fields, human-computer interaction, which is part of the computer science field, and learning sciences and cognitive science. And what I do is to use this participatory design approaches, working closely with educators, students, school administrators to design learning technologies with community members to understand and support student learning. And in my current lab in Germany, I have so far created a lot of different types of learning technologies, mainly in mathematics, but also recently I explored this computer science or other areas as well. So you can see that, the kind of things that we do in the lab is to design and develop interactive learning technologies for students and teachers. So, and then I, in the past several weeks after getting an invitation for this event, I had a chance to reflect on my experience so far of working with stakeholders in education research, and in Germany and in the US and also in Japan. And I kind of wanted to summarize these things to think about what we can learn from these experiences. So, researchers and educators, many of you may have experienced that, it's not very easy. It's not sometimes easy to work with, work together between researchers and educators. Sometimes very challenging. And that's kind of, obvious because it's different types of jobs, and we have different goals, different interests, although, we are kind of interested in, the student learning and teaching, but also on a day-to-day basis, we do different things. So there are, many different things that we do in our, conceptualization of what is good and what is not. So it can be difficult to coordinate between these two parties. And throughout my experiences, I have seen or experienced some sort of assumptions that we have. So researchers have some assumptions about how educators do their work or how they like, the things that we do. And educators also at the same time, they have some assumptions about, what is research and what we do. And these assumptions might be wrong. And that's kind of what we wanted what I wanted to talk about today, to kind of highlight some of the assumptions that I have experienced and to learn from those assumptions. So this assumption one, or myth one, is researchers only care about science. This is sometimes I have seen or heard from educators that about what we do as a researcher. And of course, that's true that we care about science of teaching and learning as a researcher. But what the problem is that the educators also think that because we're focused on science as a researcher, maybe they think that we are not very interested in hearing about what educators are thinking, because the science is what researchers do at the university, for example. But that's not true. The idea of science is also changing. That I think now we I think all agree that as a researcher that in order to advance science, it's very, very critical that we understand practice. It's kind of the science informs practice and practice informs science. So the correct way of saying this maybe is the researchers care about both science and practice. We really care about what's happening in the practice in a classroom, for example, in a school environment, in a preschool, kindergarten, and at the home environment, of course, to really think about what we do and what we can do better. Second assumption or myth is researchers are experts in teaching and learning. I have experienced personally that when talking with teachers think that we researchers know everything about what they do, and that is partly true that we know a little bit about science of how to teach, how people learn, but that's not enough, of course. And then the problem here is that educators then sometimes think that there's nothing that I can contribute to because the researchers know everything, and that they can do, they can solve every problem. But that's not true. Although we know something about science of learning and teaching, we are pretty much novice in learning and instruction in the practical setting. That's what educators are pretty good at, or they are expert in. So for example, in my prior work, I wanted to use this specific visual representation called tape diagrams. It's for middle school mathematics learning. And I decided to talk with a lot of teachers in the US to really understand how they would use this specific visual representation in their teaching. And through understanding how they would approach this visual representation, then I created this adaptive system based on the understanding of how they use this in the practice. So only through this understanding of how they use it in the practical setting, I was able to design this system. So again, it's very critical that we work together to develop both scientific and practical understanding of how to teach and how people learn, and that's needed to kind of collectively advance the understanding of how people learn and how to support learning. So maybe the correct way to say this assumption is that researchers would like to know how teaching and learning happen in the real world. We care about the practical applications. The last one is the teachers are busy, we should not bother them. This is the other way. The researchers sometimes have this assumption that educators are too busy, we should not bother them. So typically the researchers want to work with educators, they reach out to them. But at the same time, we also think that maybe they're too busy with the daily work, which I think is very true, that the teachers are very busy. But the problem here is that sometimes then researchers think that, okay, that's not bother, then we can just do it in our team. We should not bother. Yes, during the pandemic, yes, many researchers thought that it's not a good time to reach out to and ask for help to educators. But we thought that maybe by changing the approach that we use, maybe there is a good collaboration that we can aim for. So this is the work that we did. This is a framework for educational technology researchers to adjust the ways in which they do research in a classroom setting. And by sort of adjusting the ways in which we do, this research in a typical way, maybe we can kind of offer help and then try to have more collaborations. So the teachers are busy, that's true, but there are maybe ways in which researchers can offer help. That's what I wanted to say. So to summarize, how can we foster effective collaborations between researchers and educators when we have these assumptions? Maybe to overcome these assumptions or correct these assumptions, maybe researchers can sort of approach the educators to try to learn more about what's happening in the practice rather than bringing in, what they're interested in. Maybe they can first listen to what's happening in the classroom and in the school setting. And educators, maybe they can also bring in what they're interested in. It's not just, that researchers always should bring in their, questions or research projects. Educators can also propose something that's interesting to researchers to initiate collaborations. So the main point is, after reflecting on my experience, maybe the key is to kind of think about the languages or the approaches that we use when talking with researchers, when talking with educators, to have more sustainable community-based research on learning and instruction. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tomo. So I think it's wonderful to hear that researchers, they don't just care about science, they actually also care about practice. And then researchers, they need educators to actually help us understand how can we help you, right? And what can we do to together jointly advance practice and understand about teaching and learning in the real world. And then researchers can offer help, and then together we can jointly develop questions and practice. So thank you so much again, Tomo. And next, we have our second discussant, Dr. Anika Saxena. Anika is a lecturer in the Department of Early Childhood Education at the Education University of Hong Kong. And she teaches and researches on topics related to teacher education, leadership, technology integration, computational thinking in early childhood. Before becoming a teacher educator, Anika held several positions of senior leadership in international and local schools. Having occupied such diverse roles as parent, teacher, principal, teacher educator, and researcher, Anika really brings a wealth of experiences and valuable advice on research practice collaborations. So Anika, the questions I had for you are, as a parent, a former teacher and principal, and now a teacher educator and a researcher, what factors do researchers and educators need to consider when forming collaboration? And how can we as a community of educators and researchers address the need of children and families from diverse backgrounds? So Anika, please go ahead and share your screen. The floor is all yours.
Hello, everyone. And this is Anika here. And I loved Tomo's, because being like in the field, working with the teachers, I never realized that researchers have those conflicts in their brain when they think of this collaboration, because it was very, very easy for me to think about that. But however, it's also opened my mind that how it happens. So just wanted to give a quick thing that, this is my family and I actually love them. This is 10 years ago. And now you can say, I don't look like that anymore. But however, it's just like the fun way to say we keep changing as we go. You all know my hobbies are painting, cooking, and also I am really passionate about early childhood education. And of course, my research interests, as Jenny said, so I don't want to repeat them. I have only 7 minutes, so come on, let's go with it. So the key questions what Jenny asked me is basically, these are the two. So first thing about, first question, which we take, is factors. What factors do researchers and educators need to consider? So to be honest, with my experience, what I wanted to say that I was interested in some sort of research when I was actually teaching as well. And we were the team of teachers or educators, and we had done some action research. Actually, that was the precursor for me jumping to the research area and then thinking about, oh, can I do some research? So I have that particular some of the evidence to show you in a minute. But what I see, so when this particular researcher approached me at that particular time, or now I approach any researcher, any educator, we should share the common. We should have shared goal and vision that, all right, I am going to work on it. And I wonder if you're interested. And sometimes you just casually talking about something. Really, I wanted to have some resilience develop in the children for this time. Let's do something like how we can do it practically. So it's true. It's not only about science, but there are many other things what we think about, but it's very interesting thing that when you discuss with educators their vision and your vision, if it has a shared common goal, yes, we can do something around that. When you are doing research, so it's not easy because sometimes they have their own role and responsibilities, you have your own, and of course you have some research output to produce, and they have something better practice. They have to improve their practice. So in that particular case, we need to respect each other, value each other's expertise. Taking a lot of time, it happens that I have written some literature review, and I got because everything needs to be changed. Why? Because the other experts in my team, and they think like, oh, this is not appropriate because the research, what it's coming from, the practice is going in another direction. So many times we have to go back and forth. Yes, it takes a little bit more time. So to maintain that time, number 3, I will say there should be some channels for effective communication and collaboration is structured. So for example, the Action Research website, I'll show you just in a minute. You see, when we did that time, we had a whole soul teacher in charge who is coordinating this kind of communication in between researchers and the team of teachers who were working together. So that kind of collaboration and structure is really, really important. You should have some platform, easy platform for the storage of the information, so that easy access of information. Also, the communication is like recent, regular virtual meetings, which can fit in everybody's schedule. Then another factor is co-creation and co-design. And that may not be, if you have more partners other than you, it's very hard to come to the same, similar kind of understanding. So sometimes not only means like when I was educated, but now when I am a researcher, I step back sometimes because the objective is the things to come from practice, right? So sometimes I step back, sometimes I speak up. So that's me. Something like a lot of adjustment when you co-design and co-create something. So for example, any framework or anything you are designing, So you need to listen to the ideas. So there are some aspects, maybe I was missing, and they have more practical understanding of it, and it's coming from the field. And also, we need to think about the contextual understanding, which means like whatever pedagogy, whatever our research objective is, it should be more or less for the context of where it's happening. For example, the similar topic, if we are using in a different country doing this action research or something, that could be a little bit different. And ethical considerations. For example, that so who will be because being even co-author, being even collecting data, you need to be ethically sound. For example, how you are going to protect the privacy of students, school, and of course the teachers. So there is a lot of responsibility. It comes to both the parties to share those ethical, and not only that, at the time of when you have a research output, how you are going to give them their credit. So that's also very important, because I think like that's ethical consideration everyone should do. Now, let me quickly, because I'm running short of time, this is what I have done with when I was teacher. All right. And you see, we were learning about like how inquiry-based play, what is a play-based kindergarten looked like in kindergarten. So this was, you can see the team, we had lots of observations done and documents we have done. And then we also good for the went for like, how does it look like in the environment, the play-based learning. So a lot of reflections from the teachers, the communication between the students, the team sharing, how does it happen? And it's not only one kindergarten, we have done it like on the kind of 3 kindergartens together. So you can see here like pedagogy and what does it mean of play, how interactions work in there. So you can see what is the important of it. We put some videos there. It's available online, and the link is in there, so you can definitely watch it in your own time, go deeper into it. And you can say that, there are lots of conversation in this particular website, you can see. So this is a very rich evidence, which researchers, as a researcher, I understand, we have the expertise of bringing it together, keeping it informed to the coming, and using whatever the aspects are coming. But teachers are also very rich because they have all the expertise things coming from practice. So we have to value their contribution. So let's go to the second question, because I don't want to create an issue of time. And then here you can select, how can we as a community of educators and researchers address the needs of children and families from diverse backgrounds? And this is a really good question, because sometimes we stuck there that, of course, my nationality and maybe the researchers, the educators' nationality is different, and children are coming from the third nationality, or culturally we are all very different. How we can do it? I really feel like if you develop that environment of respect, and care, and of course you need to have some kind of strategies in place. This thing, I don't think ever come in your way. This is what I wanted to say. So be open-minded with that, because so far, whatever research project I have done with different, it's all coming from different nationalities. I'll give you the list of it. You can maybe part with that. So what I mean to say that obviously, sometimes what happens in any kind of collaboration, the thinking where it goes wrong is communication. Because sometimes our understanding of communication or being just questioning someone is different than the other culture. So we should have those common grounds sorted within that, so you give that much time to meet each other, to have those common ground sorted before you start any bigger project together. So same way that policies and practices should be there in case, like, so you should have those clear directions. So this is the running document where we will just, if we have any questions, we will put in there, or there is a way to communicate those issues. So it should be in place. So collaboration and partnerships, as I said, joint decision making and shared resources are very important, because if one person has got no access to the resources, that makes a little bit challenging our role. And of course, to develop together, to develop the, because even though if you do action research with any of the school or any of the teachers, not all the teachers are on the same page. So you may have to go observe that kindergarten for some time. You need to devote those time to see what kind of school culture is there, what kind of background is there for the students, is there many nationalities going there, what kind of background is from the teacher, and how you wanted to do a little bit of professional development and something, so that we all will be on same page in order to produce some research, a good research output or something. And also research informed practice. This is what I mean to say. So share that, okay, we have these shared learning goals, and this is how we value each other's role in this particular collaboration. So with that note, I hope I have not taken too much time. And these are some of the things I have done with different backgrounds, different educators, even the educator who have got distinct interests. Maybe it's not my expertise anyway, parental perspectives or something, but we still have done something together. So hats off to my collaborators that have given me opportunity to work with them, and I'm always open for that. So these are my references, and thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you for giving me opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anika, for sharing with us and for highlighting the importance of communication and really listening to each other, being respectful, establishing the common ground. And it is also very, very exciting and very cool to see the playful learning example as one of the product or projects that you have done through this collaborative process. And having an open mind is also very important, being able to understand each other. And then it's so cool to see how like the input coming from teachers and schools and the stakeholders, and then eventually feeding back into practice. And then so we can do that exchange and have a healthy and productive collaboration. So thank you so much again, Anika. So next, our third discussant is Miss Hari John. And so Hari is a PhD candidate at the National Institute of Education at Nanyang Technical University in Singapore. Before joining National Institute of Education, she was a primary school teacher in South Korea and a Korean language instructor in Singapore. Her passion lies in advancing teachers' professional development through web-based training and coaching, promoting inclusive education, and researching evidence-based practices supporting students with special education needs. With around 10 years of education research experience, Hari had collaborated with teachers, allied educators, school leaders, educational psychologists, and even government officials. So Hari, the questions we have for you are, as a parent, a former teacher, and now a researcher, what do you think are key features of successful versus unsuccessful school-based collaboration? And how do you tailor your collaboration approach as you work with different stakeholders like teachers, allied educators, school leaders, educational psychologists, and even the Ministry of Education officers? So Hari, please go ahead and share your screen. The floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you so much for Jenny, the invitation and the introduction. And also thank you for Anika. I totally agree with what you pointed out about having shared goal and vision, and also having an easy platform as a structure to collaborate with the teachers as well. So today, I will discuss the collaboration between researchers and practitioners, and I draw some examples from especially my doctoral research today. Yeah. So, okay. So how can we successfully collaborate with school practitioners? So you may be familiar with the concept of evidence-based practices. So that's the interventions that have been tested multiple times by different researchers group and in various locations. The process of designing these interventions typically begins with a thorough literature review to distill the core elements of an innovative practice. And generally, then these interventions are then brought to schools to assess their effectiveness. In the case of my PhD study, I had a unique opportunity, thanks to my supervisor, to develop the intervention and identify the collaborating schools simultaneously. So I joined the PhD program in January 2021 and started communicating with the school the same year by May. So from that point onward, we have a regular communications that allow me to listen to their concerns and observe related school activities. And these meetings were crucial for understanding the school's need and tailoring the interventions to meet these needs. However, there might be some instances where researchers prioritize intervention itself over the specific need of the school. So while research-informed practice is critical, lacking a deep understanding of the school need can make it difficult to gain teacher and schools buy-in. And moreover, when researchers prioritize strictly adhering to manualized interventions, we sometimes overlook the need for adaptability to fit the context. Second thing that I want to highlight is, as educational researchers, we must acknowledge the gaps between research and practice. So there is this feasibility, appropriateness, and acceptance of intervention strategies, and this can vary greatly depending on the specific context and factors involved. So in my project, for instance, we involved P2 and P3 classes, and their perceptions of the intervention depended on their grade level. Yeah. And the another significant factor was the teachers' attitude and belief. Teachers who believed in the peer-mediated intervention and were willing to engage actively with it took more initiative to make the intervention successful, for example. And more importantly, and as I think Anika pointed out, collaboration tends to be smoother when the intervention aligns with the school vision and culture. And my research site was particularly interested in supporting students with special needs, which aligns with my project aim to train students with and without special needs on how to interact appropriately with their peers. Lastly, the appeal of an intervention can significantly depend on the prevailing policy direction, whether the policy direction is toward inclusive society or whether it directs toward another direction. Okay, and the third one that I want to highlight is having the evolving role of the research teams. So my research project, for example, is now implemented for 2 years from last year. So the first year, what we focused on is we wanted to give some direct support to the teachers. So for example, our coach provided web-based training session and followed by ongoing coaching session. And these initial sessions were crucial for setting the interventions direction and enabling teachers who are experts in the classroom management and content areas to design the interactive pair activities that help students practice social skills. And then this interaction and collaboration for the first year actually evolved into different direction in the second year of the implementation. So now there will be no direct collaboration between the research group and the teachers. And because this year, the entire second P2 teachers are involved in the implementation. And we actually advised the school to establish a school-based support team. And now teachers receive support directly from the school-based team, but not from the research team. So this shift aims to actually empower the school team to independently conduct the intervention in the future and to gradually fading out support from the research team. Then how to develop the school-based support team. So in my case, we leveraged an existing school platform known as the Professional Learning Community. So Singapore every school has this PSC group, more than one. And the PSC works as the supporting team for this case. And they have the regular fortnight meeting scheduled during the curriculum time, 1 hour every 2 weeks. And they also have their own structure cycle to guide the implementation process, something similar to action research what Anika mentioned. Yeah, and then the P2 teachers are implementers this year, and they carry out the intervention following the guidance from the PSC team, and they give feedback back to the PSC team about the intervention, so they make it like contextualize it within the school. And our research team attend the PSC meeting regularly to see what we can support and what can be improved better. So the last final one that I want to mention is customizing collaboration strategies to suit the varied roles and positions of the stakeholders. So in my project, we engaged with the vice principal, and because vice principal work at the school level, we can ask about the logistical aspects as well as how, for example, how to identify the teachers who can implement the intervention, etc. And for teachers who are implementers, brought their expertise in subject content, pedagogy, and student dynamics, because teachers know the best about the students and also about the content area as well. And for student and special education and need officer, which is allied educators, served as collaborators. So through dialogue with them, we could understand the school's support systems for students with special needs. So that was just a great help from them. So that's it about the presentation. And this is the linked in the QR code. If you are interested in connecting with me, you can just scan the QR code. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Harry. It is so cool to hear how like we're starting to see some similarities across the different layers, and I'll talk more about them later. But I think like you really highlight like how important it is not just to communicate, but listen and attune to schools' needs and be flexible in kind of finding the middle ground and be sensitive to the cultural context and the policy context. And I think like one thing that's really cool and really unique that you mentioned is empowering, how to let teachers then carry on, and then we can eventually pay out the research support and the research team, and then so they can like do it in their way and then adapt and then like make it even better for their context. And then thank you so much for sharing like how you tailor different approach, how you talk with and connect with different layers of people to work on your research project. So thank you so much for your sharing. And then so finally, our fourth discussant is Miss Carman Ho. So Carman is a lecturer in the Early Childhood Education Department at the Education University of Hong Kong. Carman teaches ECE-related courses such as school-home community collaborations, curriculum leadership, and sustainable preschool management. She engages in collaborative ventures with community partners on various projects. In one of them, she developed innovative teaching and learning packages on disaster education for kindergarten students. Her passion is in empowering early childhood educators to forge meaningful connections between their professional expertise and the needs of young children through collaboration with community stakeholders. Carman, the questions that we have for you are, as a parent, teacher, educator, and research partner, how do you build partnerships with families, schools, and communities? And what challenges have you encountered when building partnerships, and how can we as a community foster collaboration and empower pre-service and in-service educators? So Carman, please go ahead and share your screen. The floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Jenny. I'm going to share my screen with you all now. Okay, I really love to listen to our counterparts sharing on your roles and your experience in being researchers and all that, and all the frontline experience when you engage with the different stakeholders in your research project. And I really appreciate to like what Harry just shared about having teams to really give clear roles and responsibilities to different stakeholders so that everyone can be on the same boat, achieving some greater outcomes. All right, so here comes my sharing. I hope that I can catch a time and then share with you all about some of the projects I have been engaging in past few years. For me, as a, I think, as like similar to many of our fellow colleagues, we do have different roles in life. And for me, I'm a parent of a 3-year-old boy, and I've also been engaged in teacher education, teacher training at tertiary level, and this is reaching my 12 years this year. And also, I've been engaging with a few research projects in collaboration with different stakeholders in mainly the ECE sectors. And in the past few years, there are some projects I would like to share with you all. But before that, I would like to show you this beautiful campus on the bottom of this slide. Why am I showing an evening view of EdUHK? This is a amazing view to engage all the very busy walks of life, those busy frontline educators who need to come to our campus to take evening class. And so I enjoy seeing this view because sometimes I need to do some evening teaching. And I also really understand how to like tap up the experience or the feelings of being engaged in both work and then study, and also take part in some of our research projects. Those frontline kindergarten teachers or EC practitioners are really amazing. All right, so let's take a look at some of the benefits I would like to highlight first before I go into talking about the challenges, because I see that having different roles in life or in my career really give benefits to some of the work I've been given or I've been invited to do so. Firstly, like being a parent of with 3 years experience. Okay, so on top of that, that is some time of preparing for becoming a parent. It's not easy. It's not easy journey. But I really enjoy being a parent because I can share my experience with fellow parents. Like lots of like experienced parent gave me experience, gave me their advice, and including Anika also share with me some of her really amazing stories of being a mom. And I do believe that being a parent, we do have first-hand experience in interacting with young lives. It's a different roles or as a kindergarten teachers, although I've been also working in the front line before I became a teacher educator. I understand that like during the school hours, interacting with different young children is totally a different story of engaging 24 hours, 7 days a week as a parent. So I really enjoy that because I can witness lots of big change, big learning, big amazing moments engage in the like interacting with young early childhood like interesting moments, and also I enjoy being exposed to lots of different parents network. I believe that this would give me some inspiration to the project and also the teaching I've been working on. So it's really amazing to get some updated information and also some insights to open up our mind with the changing market, changing world, that what do the young lives or the educators need to adapt to the changes in the 21st century. And secondly, being a teacher educator, it's also a big learning and also giving as well, because it really gives me a lot of motivation to link the theories to practices, and also vice versa, because like every time when we really step into kindergartens as a like maybe field practice supervisors, we can interact with the in-service teachers, and also through the different projects I'm going to share with you guide us to think about what kind of pedagogy we would like to innovate? What kind of models or teaching ideas that we would like to inject to our research project or to prove the effectiveness of that? And that would link the theories back to with the practices as well. And also to engage with those busy lives, those teachers I just mentioned. We understand that how can we collaborate by different activities, maybe through meetings, maybe through really class observation, giving them feedbacks on the teaching, and also bringing ideas together to develop some really exciting outcomes of the project that would also add on to the quality delivery of early childhood education, not just from the tertiary education perspective, but also from the like kindergarten frontline. They also would like to innovate some quality of education for their field to share and enjoy the fruits of that. Also, being teacher educator, I can also try my best to adapt some outcomes, objectives of the different research projects, and then bring the benefits back to the pre-service and also in-service ECE practitioners. So my role is quite like how to say intertwined because on top of being a lecturer, bringing some insight to share in classroom, I also need to interact with in-service teachers in the past few years, especially when I am on the role as a program leader of like previous PGDE part-time program and currently the Bachelor of Education part-time program. And on top of that, we also have some EDB certificate course for the kindergarten middle management. And I believe that through ongoing interaction with those in-service practitioners, it also gives me some opportunity. It's really a benefit, I would say, some opportunity to connect with their needs. It's not just to observe from like with a telescope or doing search online, but I can really engage myself with some chit chat or some discussion, formal or informal, and understand the needs and be ready to help them or to support those gaps that they might need to look for in terms of improving what they are doing. So taking the responsibility of widening the beneficiaries of some project outcome is also important, because I believe that being researchers, we do need to widen the benefits in the field so that our outputs or our research findings can be more meaningful and long-lasting. So I would like to give you some examples to illustrate my saying. This is my one important project, I would say, during the time of pandemic. Actually, 2020 and 2021, I worked with other colleagues in the department and also from the Jockey Club, and also in this project we also invited some kindergartens to collaborate with us. It's about a disaster education learning package for kindergarten. So it's interesting because when you think about like when someone invited me to talk about disaster education, the first question that come up is, why in Hong Kong? I just like talked to Jenny this afternoon. Why in Hong Kong? Maybe it's more fit for maybe Taiwan, USA, or mainland China, or like some Asian countries that might have more like really natural disasters. But then when we come back to this topic and we really want to prepare young children and parents as well to this topic, we know that, it's important. Of course, we would like to link up some lively experience that they would expose in Hong Kong related to disaster education, but also we need to realize that people just travel around in the world during some short trip, they might be engaged in some kind of disasters, so they need to have some preparedness on that. So this is a big topic, and it's a big invitation, and we work with 4 kindergartens as a seed school, because the outcome that the funder would like to invite us to do is to develop curriculum packages, and on top of that, AR storybook. So this is quite amazing to inject technologies into our curriculum package. And we have actually, the outputs are the 4 books down below with different themes that we really find a common experience in Hong Kong. The first one is, of course, because this project happened during the pandemic, we talk about the pandemic and also other kind of communicable diseases, not just the COVID. And on top of that, fire accidents, it's also normal. Traffic accident is quite normal in Hong Kong because of the busy traffic on the road. And also there are some floodings or some rainstorms situation is some commonly experienced by the young children. So I would like to quickly show you the outputs, because we would like to, as mentioned, we want to make it meaningful and widening the beneficiaries, and so we make it online, because it's eventually like throughout the world, people with the link can access to the outputs. And I just quickly show you this like amazing AR storybook with a lot of good talents in the team. Really, stakeholders is important. We team up with some editors and also some people who really good at drawing for the storybook, and also with the AR development company that is important for adding the technology to this book. And of course, the storyboard, where did it come from? It's actually the ideas of our SID school. So amazingly, we really visited the SID school for some few months, and then we came up with some different interesting ideas about like that particular accident or disaster that is really relevant in Hong Kong. And we purposely invite the drawers, those illustrators, I would say, and also the AR company to highlight those like contextual, localized scenarios that the children can see in Hong Kong. These are the like normal settings in some public housing in Hong Kong. So you may find it quite familiar if you might visit Hong Kong or live in Hong Kong. All right, so this is just one example. So among the 4 kindergartens we work with, we assign topic to follow up in each kindergarten. So we would like to really do things from the very from the scratch, from zero, and then with the output here, we can really showcase the amazing results of a learning package. And on top of that, not just the storybook as an outcome, because we also need to find relevant resources from the community so that we can help children to develop the sense of disaster education and how to prepare that, or how to like really act on the that situation if the disaster really comes to our life. So we really want to identify some good resources or community partners to help us, to support us. And we would like to inject that into our curriculum. So we also plan curriculum on that topic for like about like 3 weeks to 1.5 months for our kindergarten age, mainly for 4 to 5-year-old young children. So on top of that, we also invite the public, okay, because we want to invite the field to involve, to get on board. So we design teaching plan design competition, okay, to invite for more lesson plan, more ideas to generate on this topic. So it's amazing. Throughout the journey of this project, we invited a lot of community helpers, okay, those familiar faces, maybe from the fire station or from the ambulance supporting organization. And also we invited Red Cross to join us as well. We invited some drama company, and so they can design some tailor-made interesting drama aligned with our story. So we really give thanks to those community resources. And of course, I have a few more projects just quickly show you on here. This is another project I've been engaged since last year, since the end of last year. You can see that on top, at the top here, there are lots of different logos, and you can imagine this is really a big project initiated by lots of different tertiary institutions. And the some NGOs. So I work as only one small roles in this project because this project is amazing. I just quickly show you the website. It's called the Key Step in JCJC Min Jockey Club, the Funda, and it's a serve multidisciplinary project on along a few years. Okay, so there are lots of collaboration happening, focusing on mainly the health, well-being, and also the education part in young children's life, mainly the kindergarten. That it's our target stakeholders. So there are some, like, of course, good project model developed by different involved institutions, and well, we really want to make good use of the funded resources and maximize the impact in the society. And currently, my role is one of the team members to coach some play sessions in this 5 play hubs. So in this project, there are some play facilities setting up in 5 districts. And so for different play hubs, they would invite like kindergarteners and their parents and their teachers to come and join some quality play sessions. And of course, being teacher educators, I also work with mainly the in-service practitioners here, namely the kindergarten teachers and also the play workers inside the hub. They consist of some ECE trained people and also some social workers as well. So it's an exciting journey to witness those happy moments that is really coming up from this good project. And what I did, I really visited different hubs from time to time and observed throughout their hub design, the design of hardware, how to match that with some theme-based activities, and how do they really plan programs, inviting learning task for young children to engage with their parents, and sometimes just free play with their fellow classmates. And I think it's amazing to see those really meaningful, open-ended and educational learning corners, we call it learning zones, to become empowerments of children's play experience. And lots of different like developments is happening from those beautiful moments. And really a good time to have some debriefing sections with those young children, parents, and those play hub staff. And so they really see the good outcomes of these projects. And other projects that might be familiar with some Hong Kong fellows, it's funded by the QEF. So we call it Quality Education Fund. So this QEF actually is funding a lot of institutions from kindergarten sectors up to primary and secondary, and also tertiary institutions. And I was honored to be invited to be some of the sharing guest speakers in maybe teacher sections or parent sections in under some of the projects, mainly related to positive education, life values, and how to build collaboration with like between home, school, and community. And I really enjoy the sharing with the kindergarten and also the involved colleagues in those different projects like in the past few years. All right, so I think I am having enough time and I would like to pass the remaining sections back to Jenny and Alfredo, so that you guys can hold some discussion here. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Carmen, for sharing your experience and the breadth of projects and topics that you have worked on. I thought it's so wonderful and amazing to see how you collaborate with disaster experts, community fire departments, policemen, and then like schools to storyboard these storybooks, drama company to like get children engaged in these stories, and then working with illustrators and publishers. I feel like that is so important in like disseminating the work. But I know like we're just thinking about like research education and practice partnership, but I feel like your like collaboration goes to another level of just understanding each other's perspective and different people's role. And then like architectures and space designer, interior designers, right, to design those play spaces. It's so amazing. And then so I think like one thing that I actually took away from your presentation is like through the community-based collaborations and working with various stakeholders and experts, we can co-create wonderful resources like the curriculum package, like the play space or picture books for our children and our community. So thank you so much for your sharing. And then, so I think I will open up the floor for discussion. If anyone wants to type in their questions in the chat box, if you just want to unmute and chime in, it's all welcome, so feel free. I think while we wait, oh, there we go. We already have one message. Thank you. All right, would you like to just unmute yourself, Paul, and then you can go ahead and ask your question.
Sure, great.
And then we can have Chenqi next in the chat. So go ahead.
Great, thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you so much to all the presenters because it was a super fascinating discussion, and I think there's some huge implications beyond even just research in early childhood as well. And I was really interested, and thank you, Anika, for your presentation as well. So I guess my question is directed to you based on your presentation, but I suppose could be answered by anyone. The question I had was, I guess, your thoughts on the possible role overlap or the kind of boundary spanning practices of teachers and researchers that have varying expertise like you do, for example, coming from a site of practice, or many of you talked about your practice experience, your personal experience as parents, as well as your experience as researchers. If you were to imagine kind of the ideal scenario of what research practice partnerships look like, or the interplay between research policy and practice, what do you see that looking like? And does it need to be different in terms of the boundaries that we put around particular roles or particular spaces of research policy and practice? If you had kind of free rein to create something brand new, what would it look like based on some of the things you've shared?
Well, thank you, Paul, for your question. And I think it's after this rich discussion with every participant, these kind of questions are in mind for everyone. And I just wanted to say that, when we collaborate with practitioners, obviously we have different skill sets, right? So we carry some other skill set and they carry some. So we should, it's very important to have those kind of, whenever you are looking for partners, you should have that shared understanding, shared respect and value for each other's role. And obviously, whenever I did in the past with my, obviously I was a little bit of ease in that because these are the collaborators I worked in the past, and we had very good shared understanding, and even we can just write on WhatsApp something. So it may not be that easy for a new researcher to go and make those connections or that kind of communication. But if you are coming from the field, it makes it quite easier for you to do. However, even though if you are you worked several years together and now you're working on some project together, you have to have those shared understanding, the set of things what I have shared in my assignment. So how it's successful is like, to be honest, that okay, so these are the roles in this, and I know I'm the expert in this time, so I may take this one and you may take. So those shared responsibilities are very important so that we have that understanding, shared understanding in the beginning of the project that, okay, these are the directions we will be moving on. Obviously, every time you meet, every time you go deeper, dive into that project, the scenarios change. And every time you have to accommodate yourself in those. So I hope I answer your question. And if there anything's unclear, please let me know again, and I will be happy to try. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. So,
Yes, thank you, Jenny.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Because I'm doing the as Jenny and Anika and Alfredo, who also participate in my interviews. So you both know that I'm doing the research about knowledge exchange. And my question is, I assume that before forming a partnership, that you have to get permit from the school leaders or education bureau. Then my question is, how do you earn the trust from those leaders to let you inside of their institution? And is there any challenges dealing with a different institution, and how do you overcome these kind of challenges? Thank you so much.
Yes, maybe I can share a little bit about my experience of working with schools in different countries. So yes, so what I have experienced so far is, for example, in the US, establishing a connection and starting to work with a teacher or a group of teachers or schools. I would call it like a bottom-up process. It's more like you find a teacher from some network, or you just email a teacher, and then you start talking with the teacher, and then you will kind of like go up this hierarchy, like you talk to the principal or somewhere in the leadership position. But on the other hand, for example, in Japan, whenever I talk to individual teachers, they will say, please talk to the headmaster, the principal first. Like only after you get the approval from the headmaster, you can talk to me. So that's, you can see that there are definitely these differences between the countries, and also I think, between the institutions within the same country. And the approach, I think, for me has been basically to be flexible. So I always bring this sort of one-page sheet of paper, which kind of explains what I do in a user-friendly way, language. And if they want me to go up the floor and then talk to the principal, then I will just go and then try to explain what I do and start communication. And if they are fine with just talking with the individual teachers, then I can probably talk more about the more specific things. Here is the technology that I have designed so far, because if there are the subject teachers, like for me, it's more like it's primary school, middle schools, then the teachers are kind of they know they can understand what I do in my research. But like headmasters, they would like to have more broader kind of high level ideas of what I do, what this project would contribute to schools and so forth. Still, I try to be flexible in these different situations. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for sharing for your different perspectives and experience. Anika, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention here, there is nothing to do with EDB in Hong Kong. So you have free right to do it, unless you were really writing some policies or something and you wanted to involve them. You don't have to do that. Another aspect I will say, my approach to collaboration is not top down, it's bottoms up, because I want more hands-on things, which is done by the teachers itself. So more hands-on approach from them, rather than to ask leadership first and then go to that. So if teachers are interested, I actually go for permission from the leadership. So it's something along those. But in some other projects where it's coming from leadership itself, so we collaborate in that way. So it depends on what your research is, but totally you have to take permissions from leadership. Obviously, that's an ethical issue, but you have to work in that way. So I don't want it to take too much time. So yeah, please.
Thank you so much, Anika. Harry.
Yes, I was really interested when I hear about Thomas' case about the Japan, because Singapore is the same. Whenever I approach to teachers, they say, "Oh, could you get the approval from the principal?" Something like that. So for Singapore case, I think it's better to email school leaders and get the permission whether the teachers are available useful for the data collection. But for like my own doctoral research, it was quite interesting that the teacher actually approached it to my supervisor to work on the project. So that was the other way around that happened. So I think in Singapore, it can be case by case depending on the teachers and schools' need. And the challenges that I want to highlight was the timeline of the data collection that is happened because of the IRB approval. So the IRB approval always is challenging for me. So I think it's just that we need to plan ahead to get the IRB approval much before than the data collection, so that when the school is ready, we can collect the data on time. So that was one thing that I want to highlight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harry. And then Carmen, go ahead.
I just want to respond the perspectives of bottom-up or top-down approach. I believe that both ways are needed if you want to achieve a really good outcomes and a good journeys of doing your research. Reason for having top-down, because like really you really need the leadership permission to open the door for you to walk in. But how do we approach that leadership? First, of course, by sending invitation letter is one like formal approach, and also like through our connections with the field, we can also identify some principles that they are more willing to practice some innovative change pedagogy revolution in the kindergarten. Because why do I say revolution? Because sometimes your research may be not presented. They didn't know what is about disaster education, what's about free play in a hub. So you need to really talk to them in person, so to convince the meaningful outcomes that the project would bring about for their teaching teams. And what I mentioned, the bottom-up approach is also needed, because the team support is even more important than the seeking permission from the head. Because you would need to engage the whole teaching team. For example, seed teachers in some seed school, they need to be like regularly meeting with you and like really bringing some good discussion to practice. They need to really do some hands-on practice to make things happen, or we can observe and then get data out of the journey. So the support from the teachers is also important. I think the way how can we convince them is we empower them. We convince that there are a lot of learning that we can do together as a learning community, instead of like showing like I'm coming to teach you something or guide you to do something. No, we are having some equal position. We are doing something together. We are building something together, and they will be very happy to make this happen if they see the value, they see the big picture out of it. So I hope I answer your question as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Carmen. And we do need to start closing the session, but I see that we have one question from Mala, I think. She asked about fidelity versus flexibility. And I just want to voice my my thoughts really quickly. I think it's kind of depends on the project. I have projects that kind of have some hypothesis, but I invite stakeholders and caregivers in providing feedback in generating the content and the idea. I know that Tomo has taken an approach in starting from the beginning and designing research questions with stakeholders, which I think has been really, really cool. And then so I think there are actually different approaches and that you can take along the spectrum. So I think for today, a very, very quick summary. I think what I learned, I'm so grateful for having all of you here in sharing and in discussing this topic. And I've learned so much about having an open communication, being responsive, and really listen to what each other have to say. And then I think what is really cool is that the sum is actually greater than the part, right? We can create something more awesome and more wonderful together. So with that, I want to quickly just share a couple of my projects that that I am looking for collaborators. So if you are interested, please consider joining. I have a project on math learning, collaborating with parents and teachers in designing math games for children to play. And then, so if you're interested, please scan the QR code. I think Sophie can also put the link to sign up in the chat. And then the next project I'm also looking for adults in contributing to research projects on math cognition and language and how they are related to each other. And then so please also consider participating, and of course, feel free to reach out to me or any of the panel member here for any follow-up questions or connections or collaborations. We're all here to kind of work together to improve children's life. So thank you all so much again for coming, and I will pass the mic back to Alfredo.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for all to you, Jenny, all the speakers. It was a really interesting topic today. So I have 1 minute to say a few final special thanks to different people. Number one, to Sophie and Yana, who are part of my team in internationalization. They have worked really hard to put this session together, same as all the prior interconversations. So thanks so much for both of them for your help. If you would like to follow us on social media, so you can see here we have all kinds of social media platforms to keep updated and connected to the field. So we have our LinkedIn account, Twitter account, WeChat account, Instagram, Facebook. So please, if you are on any of these platforms, you can just with your phones like scan one of these QR codes and just follow us to keep updated on the different things that we do. We try to organize events that are interesting to people in the field. So this is the end of the session today. Jenny and all, thank you so much. It was a really interesting sharing today. And for all of you who attended, it was good to see you and keep in touch. All right. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.